Han Sora walked through the narrow hallway of the warship Taebong with her head down. She kept her eyes on the metal floor and counted her steps. It was a habit she had developed long ago. Counting helped her stay calm when she felt the eyes of others on her back. The ship was massive. It carried over 800 crew members and enough weapons to destroy a small moon. But to Sora, it felt like a cage filled with people who looked at her like she did not belong. She was 24 years old, small and thin, with black hair that she always tied back in a simple knot. Her voice was soft, so soft that people often asked her to repeat herself, and when they did, she would feel her face grow hot and her words would come out even quieter than before. Today was like every other day. She had a meeting with the tactical team in Conference Room 3, but she had no choice. When she entered the room, the other officers were already seated around the long table. Captain Beck Tejo sat at the head. He was a large man with gray hair and deep lines on his face. He had fought in 3 wars and won medals that Sora could not even name. He looked at her for a moment, then looked away, as if she was not worth his attention. Commander Kang Jinsu sat to the captain's right. He was younger than Tejo, but his eyes were cold, and his smile was cruel. When Sora took her seat at the far end of the table, Jinsu let out a small laugh. "Ah, our little mouse has arrived," he said. A few officers chuckled. Sora said nothing. She opened her tablet and pretended to read something on the screen. The meeting began. They talked about patrol routes and supply lines. They talked about the Velen Empire, a race of reptile-like aliens who had been pushing against human territory for years. The Velen were strong and violent. They believed that power was everything, and they thought humans were weak. Sora listened carefully. She had spent weeks studying Velen battle tactics. She had found patterns in how they moved their ships. She had ideas, good ideas. But every time she tried to speak, her throat would tighten and her voice would fail her. "We should increase patrols near Sector 7, one officer said. Sora raised her hand slightly. "I think the Velen won't attack Sector 7, Commander Jinsu cut in. "They have no reason to." Sora lowered her hand. Her idea died in her throat. The meeting ended an hour later. Sora was the first to leave. She walked quickly, her footsteps echoing in the empty hallway. She did not stop until she reached the observation deck. It was her favorite place on the ship. A large window looked out into the endless black of space. Stars glittered like tiny diamonds scattered across dark cloth. Here, she could breathe. Here, no one laughed at her. She sat down on the cold floor and pulled out her tablet. On the screen was a map of Velen fleet movements from the past 6 months. She had collected this data herself, piece by piece, from old battle reports and intercepted signals. No one had asked her to do this. No one even knew she was doing it. But Sora saw things that others missed. She saw how the Velen always positioned their flagship at the center of their formation. She saw how their smaller ships never acted without orders from above. She saw the tiny delays between commands, the moments of hesitation when the chain of command was disrupted. The Velen were strong, but they were also rigid. They followed rules that could not bend, and rules that could not bend could be broken. Sora made notes on her tablet. She ran simulations. In her private world of numbers and patterns, she was not timid. She was powerful. The ship's lights dimmed to signal night cycle. Sora was about to return to her quarters when a voice came over the speakers. "All senior staff to the bridge. Repeat, all senior staff to the bridge. This is not a drill." Sora's heart began to race. She was not senior staff, but something in the captain's voice made her stand up anyway. She made her way toward the bridge, staying in the shadows, watching. When she arrived, the bridge was filled with tension. Officers moved quickly between stations. On the main screen was a distress signal, flashing red. "It's Colony Dury 7, Lieutenant Yoon Hana said. She was the communications officer, a woman with kind eyes and a warm voice. She was one of the few people on the ship who ever smiled at Sora. "The Velen have attacked. They're requesting immediate help." Captain Tejo stood with his arms crossed. His face was like stone. "How many Velen ships?" "At least 15 warships, sir." "Maybe more." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. 15 warships. The Taebong was alone. They were outnumbered 15-1. "That's a full invasion fleet," Commander Jinsu said. His voice was quieter now, the arrogance gone. "If we go in there, we die." "There are 40,000 civilians on that colony," Hana said. "Women, children." Tejo closed his eyes for a long moment. When he opened them, his decision was made. Set a course for Dury 7, maximum speed. The bridge erupted into activity. Officers rushed to their stations. Sora stood frozen by the door, her tablet clutched to her chest. She heard 2 officers whispering nearby. "This is suicide," one said. "We don't stand a chance," the other replied. Sora looked at her tablet, at the patterns she had studied, at the weakness she had found. She opened her mouth to speak, but the words would not come. So she stood there, in silence, watching as the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying them all toward a battle they could not win. But deep inside her mind, a small voice whispered, "I know how to beat them. I just need someone to listen." The stars stretched into lines of light as the Taebong raced toward its fate, and Han Sora, the girl everyone called a mouse, began to plan. Yuna worked through the morning. She cleaned the wounds. She stopped the bleeding. She stitched the cuts with careful hands. The alien's body was strange. Its blood was blue because it was made with copper, not iron like human blood. Its bones were so hard that her needle almost broke when she tried to sew the flesh near them. Its skin healed faster than any animal she had ever seen. She used medicine meant for horses. She used bandages meant for cows. She did not know if any of it would work. But slowly, the alien's breathing became stronger. Its heartbeat became steady. By noon, Yuna was exhausted. She sat in a chair next to the table and closed her eyes. Just for a moment, she told herself. Just a short rest. She woke up to the sound of breaking glass. The alien was awake. It had knocked over a tray of medical tools. It was sitting up on the table, its violet eyes wide with fear and anger. When it saw Yuna, it tried to stand, but its legs were too weak. It fell back onto the table. It spoke. The words were harsh and fast. Yuna did not understand any of them. Then she noticed a small device attached to the alien's neck. It was cracked and sparking. The alien touched it and spoke again. This time, some words came through in broken English. "Where, place, who, you?" "You are safe," Yuna said slowly. "I am Yuna. I am a doctor. Well, a doctor for animals, but I helped you." The alien stared at her. Its eyes moved around the room, looking at the cages, the medicine bottles, the pictures of dogs and cats on the wall. "Human," it said. The word was full of suspicion. Why help? Yuna did not know how to answer that question. She had not thought about why. She just did it. "You were dying," she said simply. That was enough. The alien was silent for a long moment. Then it touched the silver emblem on its chest. "The crescent moon and star. I am Kale," it said. "Soldier, Valorian Republic." "Valorian," Yuna repeated. She had heard that name on the news. One of the alien civilizations fighting in the Great War far from Earth. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Why did you crash on our planet?" Before Kale could answer, the door of the clinic burst open. A man stood there. He was younger than Yuna, with short black hair and a scar on his chin. He was breathing hard, like he had been running. "Yuna!" he shouted. Then he saw the alien on the table. His face went pale. "Teho," Yuna said quickly. "Stay calm." Teho was her younger brother. He had been a medic in the army before he came back to the village. He knew about wounds and blood and death, but he had never seen anything like this. "What did you do?" he whispered. "Do you know what this is? The government is looking for it. They say anyone who helps it will be arrested." "He was dying," Yuna said. "What was I supposed to do? Leave him in the forest?" Teho walked closer to the table. Kale watched him with careful eyes. The alien's hand moved toward the weapon that was no longer there. "It is okay," Yuna said to Kale. "He is my brother. He will not hurt you." Teho looked at the wounds on the alien's body. His training took over. He checked the bandages Yuna had put on. He nodded slowly. "You did good work," he said to his sister. "But this is dangerous. We need to turn him in." "No," Yuna said firmly. Kale spoke. His translator was working better now. "Your brother is right. I bring danger. The ones who shot me down, they will come looking." "Who shot you down?" Yuna asked. Kale's violet eyes grew dark. "The Dominion, an empire that wants to control all worlds. We have been fighting them for 100 years. They are winning." His voice became quiet. "I was carrying a message. A warning for your planet. The Dominion has been watching Earth. They have been talking to your governments in secret, making deals, preparing to add your world to their empire." Teho laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That is impossible. Our governments would never." "Your governments do not know what the Dominion truly is," Kale said. "They see power. They see technology. They think they can make a deal and stay safe. But the Dominion does not make deals. It takes what it wants, and destroys what it cannot use." The room was silent. Yuna looked at her brother. Teho looked at the floor. "I was trying to warn you," Kale continued, "to tell your people the truth. But the Dominion found me. They shot my ship. I thought I would die." He looked at Yuna. "I did not expect a human to save me." "Why not?" Yuna asked. Kale's expression was strange, almost ashamed. "My commanders told me your species was primitive, weak, selfish. They said humans only care about themselves. They said you would not help a stranger, especially one who is not like you." Yuna smiled a little. "Your commanders do not know us very well." Kale did not smile, but something changed in his eyes, a small light, something that might have been hope. Teho stepped forward. "If what you say is true, we need to get this information out. We need to tell someone." "Who would believe us?" Yuna asked. "We are just a veterinarian and a former medic from a small village. We have no proof." "I am the proof," Kale said. "And I have data in my ship, records, evidence of what the Dominion is planning." "Your ship is destroyed," Teho said. "The data core is strong. It may have survived the crash." Yuna stood up. "Then we need to get it. But first you need to rest. You are still weak. There is no time. The Dominion will send hunters. They will come for me, for you, for anyone who has seen me. Then we will hide you," Yuna said. "And when you are strong enough, we will get your data. We will tell the world the truth." Kale looked at her for a long time. "Why are you doing this? You do not know me. You owe me nothing." Yuna thought about the question. She thought about all the animals she had saved, the ones that bit her, the ones that scratched her, the ones that were too wild to ever be grateful. "I do not need a reason to help someone who is hurt," she said. "That is just who I am." Kale was silent. Then slowly he lowered his head. In his culture, it was a sign of deep respect. "I was wrong about your kind," he said quietly, "and I think my commanders were wrong too." Outside, the wind blew through the mountains. Somewhere in the sky, ships were moving. War was coming. But, in that small clinic, surrounded by cages and medicine bottles, a human and an alien had found something rare. They had found trust. 3 days passed. Kale grew stronger. His wounds healed faster than any human wounds could heal. But he was still weak. He needed more time. Time was something they did not have. On the 4th morning, Tejo came running to the clinic. His face was white with fear. "They are here," he said. 3 ships. They landed near the old factory outside the village. Yuna felt her heart stop. "The Dominion?" Tejo nodded. "I saw them from the hill. Tall creatures, dark armor. They are searching the forest where the crash happened." Kale stood up from the bed Yuna had made for him. His legs shook, but his eyes were clear. "They are Dominion hunters," he said. "The best soldiers in their army. They will not stop until they find me." "Then we need to move you," Yuna said. "Somewhere they will not look." She thought hard. The clinic was too easy to find. The forest was already being searched. Then she remembered something her grandmother had told her long ago. "The tunnels," she said. Tejo looked at her. "The old war tunnels? Under the village?" "Yes. Grandmother showed them to me when I was a child. They were built during the war, 70 years ago. People hid there when the bombs fell. Most villagers have forgotten they exist." "Can we reach them?" Kale asked. "There is an entrance in the basement of the old temple. It is abandoned now. No one goes there." They moved quickly. Yuna packed food, water, and medicine into bags. Tejo helped Kale walk. The alien was tall and heavy, but he tried not to lean too much on the smaller human. The village was quiet. Most people were staying inside. They had seen the strange ships in the sky. They were afraid. The old temple was on the edge of the village. Its walls were cracked. Its roof had holes. Inside, dust covered everything. Statues of old gods watched them with empty eyes. Yuna found the entrance to the tunnels behind a fallen altar. A wooden door, old and rotting. She pulled it open. A dark passage led down into the earth. "Stay here," she said to Kale. "We will bring you more supplies. Do not make any noise. Do not come out until we tell you it is safe." Kale looked at the dark tunnel. Then he looked at Yuna. "You are risking everything for me," he said. "Your home, your life. Why?" Yuna did not have time to answer, but Tejo spoke instead. "Because she is my sister," he said, "and she has never let anyone die if she could help it, human or not." Kale went down into the tunnel. Yuna closed the door behind him. Then she and Tejo left the temple and walked back to the clinic like nothing had happened. That afternoon, the hunters came to the village. There were 5 of them. They were not like Kale. Their skin was darker, almost black. Their eyes glowed red. They wore armor that seemed to eat the light around it. They walked through the village slowly. They looked at every house, every shop, every person. The villagers watched them with fear. No one spoke. No one moved. The leader of the hunters stopped in front of Yuna's clinic. Yuna was standing at the door. Her heart was beating so hard she thought it might break her ribs. But she kept her face calm. The hunter looked at her. Its red eyes burned into hers. "Human," it said. Its voice was cold and sharp, like metal scraping metal. "We are searching for a criminal, a Valorian soldier. He crashed in your area. Have you seen him?" Yuna forced herself to breathe. "I saw the crash," she said. "I heard the noise, but I did not go to look. It is not safe in the forest at night." The hunter stared at her. She felt like it was looking inside her mind, reading her thoughts. "You are a healer," it said, looking at the sign on her clinic. "For animals." "Yes." "If you had found the criminal, would you have helped him?" Yuna met its eyes. "I help any creature that is hurt. That is my job." The hunter made a sound. It might have been a laugh, or it might have been something else. "Foolish," it said. "Helping the weak only makes you weak." It turned and walked away. The other hunters followed. They continued their search through the village. Yuna did not move until they were gone. Then her legs gave out. She fell against the door of her clinic, shaking. Taeho found her there an hour later. They searched the forest again, he said. They found the ship, but the data core was already gone. Yuna looked up. Gone? Who took it? Taeho smiled a little. I did, last night. I went back to the crash site and found it. It was damaged, but still working. He pulled a small metal box from his bag. It was the size of his hand, covered in strange symbols. A faint light pulsed inside it. This is our proof, he said. If we can get this to the right people, we can expose the Dominion. Yuna took the box. It was warm in her hands. That night, she went to the tunnels. Kale was sitting in the darkness, alone. When he saw her, he tried to stand. The hunters came, she said. They questioned me, but they did not find you. Kale's violet eyes were full of something she had not seen before. It looked like wonder. You lied to them, he said. You put yourself in danger for me. Yes. If they had found out, they would have killed you. Yes. Kale shook his head slowly. On my world, there is a saying, a life saved is a debt that cannot be repaid, only honored. The crescent moon and star. I earned this by holding a mountain pass alone for 3 days. I killed 200 Dominion soldiers to protect my battalion. I thought that was the bravest thing a person could do. He looked at her. I was wrong. What you are doing is harder. You have no weapons, no armor, no training. You are facing an enemy that could destroy your whole world, and you are still helping me. Yuna sat down next to him. The tunnel was cold and dark. But somehow, she did not feel afraid. I am not brave, she said. I am just stubborn. My mother always said it was my worst quality. Kale made a sound. It took Yuna a moment to realize he was laughing. Maybe stubborn is what this galaxy needs, he said. Above them, the hunters continued their search, but they did not find the tunnel. They did not find Kale. And in the darkness under the earth, 2 strangers from different worlds shared a moment of quiet peace. It would not last. They both knew that. But for now, it was enough. A week passed. The hunters searched the mountains, the forests, and every building in the village. But they found nothing. Finally, they left. Their ships rose into the sky and disappeared into the clouds. Yuna thought the danger was over. She was wrong. On the 8th day, Kale got worse. It started with a fever. His gray skin became pale and dry. His violet eyes lost their light. He could not eat. He could barely drink water. Yuna checked his wounds. They were healed on the outside, but something was wrong inside. The hunters, Kale said, his voice weak. They use a weapon, a poison. It is inside their blades. It kills slowly. I did not know I was cut. Yuna felt ice in her stomach. What kind of poison? A bioweapon. It attacks the blood. It makes it stop carrying oxygen. My people call it the silent death. There is no cure on my world. No cure? Yuna repeated. That cannot be true. There must be something. Kale shook his head. Many scientists have tried. Many have failed. The poison is too strong, too complex. Yuna stood up. Her hands were shaking, but her mind was clear. She had not saved this alien just to watch him die in a dark tunnel. Taeho, she said when she reached the clinic, I need your help. Her brother was already waiting. He had seen the look on her face. What is wrong? Kale is dying. He was poisoned. A Dominion bioweapon. He says there is no cure. Taeho's face became serious. No cure on his world, but maybe there is one on ours. They worked through the night. Taeho used his old military contacts to access databases that normal people could not see. Secret government files, alien research, information that had been hidden from the public. They found a report from a research station in America. Scientists there had studied Dominion bioweapons. They had found that the poison worked by destroying a specific molecule in the blood. a molecule that carried oxygen. In Valorians, there was no way to replace this molecule. But in humans— "Wait," Yuna said, reading the report. "Look at this. The molecule the poison attacks. It is similar to a compound found in earth plants." Taeho leaned closer to the screen. "Which plants?" "Ginseng," Yuna said. "Common Korean ginseng. The compound is called ginsenoside. It can bond with copper-based blood cells and restore their function." They stared at each other. "We have ginseng," Taeho said. "Grandmother grew it in the garden. There is still some in the storage room." Yuna ran to the storage room. She found the old box where her grandmother had kept dried ginseng roots. Some of them were more than 20 years old, but they were still good. Now came the hard part. She needed to extract the compound and turn it into medicine. She needed to create a cure. Yuna was not a scientist. She was a veterinarian. But she had learned chemistry in school. She had made medicines for animals many times. This was just bigger. She worked for 2 days. She did not sleep. She did not eat much. She ground the ginseng roots into powder. She mixed them with alcohol to extract the compounds. She heated and cooled the mixture to separate the ginsenoside from everything else. Taeho helped when he could, but mostly he watched his sister with amazement. He had always known she was smart, but this was something more. This was desperation turning into determination. On the second night, Yuna had a small bottle of clear liquid. Her hands were shaking as she held it up to the light. "I do not know if this will work," she said. "I do not know the right amount to give him. I do not know if his body will accept it." Taeho put his hand on her shoulder. "You have come this far. You have to try." They went to the tunnel. Kale was lying on the ground, barely breathing. His skin had turned almost white. His violet eyes were closed. Yuna knelt beside him. She opened the bottle. She lifted his head gently. "Kale," she said, "I made something. It might help, but I am not sure. Do you want me to try?" Kale's eyes opened a little. He looked at her face. He saw the fear, the hope, the exhaustion. "You made a cure," he whispered, "from your planet's plants." "Maybe. I don't know." Kale smiled weakly. "Your people were supposed to be primitive, but you are trying to do what our best scientists could not do." "I am not trying to be a hero," Yuna said. "I just do not want you to die." "Then try," Kale said. "Whatever happens, I am grateful." Yuna poured the liquid into his mouth. She helped him swallow. Then she sat back and waited. The first hour was terrible. Kale's body began to shake. His fever got higher. Blue sweat appeared on his skin. Yuna thought she had killed him. But then, slowly, things began to change. His breathing became deeper. His skin color started to return. The shaking stopped. By morning, his fever broke. He opened his eyes and looked at Yuna. His violet eyes were bright again. "It worked," he said. His voice was full of wonder. "You saved me, again." Yuna could not speak. She was crying too hard. All the fear and stress of the past days came out in tears. Taeho helped her stand. "You did it," he said quietly. "You actually did it." Kale sat up slowly. He looked at his hands. He felt his chest. He took a deep breath. "On my world," he said, "there is a belief. They say that some people have souls that are too strong for just one life. They say these souls can change the fate of worlds." He looked at Yuna. "I think you have one of those souls." She laughed a little. "I think you are still a bit delirious from the fever." But Kale did not laugh. His face was completely serious. "I have met generals and kings. I have seen warriors who could destroy armies. But I have never met anyone like you. You do not fight with weapons. You fight with your heart. And somehow, that is stronger." He reached out and took her hand. His gray fingers were warm now. "Thank you," he said. "Those words are too small, but they are all I have." Yuna squeezed his hand. "You are welcome. Now rest. You still need to recover." Kale lay back down, but he did not let go of her hand. Outside, the sun was rising over the mountains. A new day was beginning, and somewhere in the stars, the Dominion was planning its next move. But in that tunnel, there was only peace. A human and an alien, holding hands in the darkness. Two strangers who had become something more. 2 weeks after Yuna gave Kale the cure, he was strong again. His wounds had healed completely. His violet eyes were bright and clear. He could walk, run, and fight if he needed to. But he did not want to fight. Not anymore, not right now. He had spent these weeks talking with Yuna and Tejo. He told them about his world, about the great cities that floated in the clouds, about the wars that had lasted for generations, about the friends he had lost and the enemies he had made. And they told him about Earth, about the small village in the mountains, about the grandmother who grew ginseng and told stories of the old war, about the simple life of healing sick animals and watching the seasons change. Kale had traveled to 100 worlds. He had seen things that most humans could not imagine. But he had never found a place that felt like this, a place that felt like home. Then, on a cold morning, everything changed. Tejo came running to the tunnel. His face was excited, not afraid. "A ship," he said. "It just appeared in the sky. But it is not Dominion. The markings, I think it is Valorian." Kale stood up quickly. His heart was beating fast. "The signal," he said. "The distress signal I sent before I crashed. It finally reached them." They left the tunnel and walked to the edge of the village. A ship was landing in the field where farmers grew rice in the summer. It was silver and smooth, shaped like a bird with wings spread wide. The symbol on its side was the same as the medal on Kale's chest, the crescent moon and star. Soldiers came out of the ship. They were Valorians, tall and gray-skinned like Kale. When they saw him, they saluted. "Commander Kale," the leader said, "we received your signal. We thought you were dead." "I almost was," Kale said, "but I had help." He looked at Yuna. She was standing behind him, small and quiet. The Valorian soldiers looked at her with curiosity. Some of them looked at her with surprise. They had never seen a human before. The leader spoke to Kale in their own language. Kale responded. They talked for several minutes. Yuna could not understand the words, but she could see the expressions on their faces. Shock, disbelief, and then, slowly, respect. Finally, Kale turned to face her. "I told them everything," he said. "About the crash, about how you saved me, about the cure you made, about how you hid me from the Dominion hunters." He paused. "They did not believe me at first. They said it was impossible. A primitive species saving a Valorian commander? Creating a cure that our own scientists could not make?" Yuna looked at the ground. "I am not special. I just did what anyone would do." "No," Kale said firmly. "That is not true. Not anyone would do what you did. Most people would have run. Most people would have called the authorities. Most people would have saved themselves. But you did not. You saw a stranger, an alien, something you had every reason to fear, and you chose compassion. You chose courage. You chose to help." He reached up to his chest. His fingers touched the silver medal, the crest of valor, the crescent moon wrapped around a star. Slowly, carefully, he removed it from his armor. Yuna's eyes went wide. "What are you doing?" she asked. "On my world," Kale said, "this medal is the highest honor a soldier can receive. It is given to those who show extraordinary courage in the face of death. I earned it by holding a mountain pass for 3 days, by killing 200 enemies, by refusing to retreat, even when I had nothing left." He held the medal out to her. But you have earned it more than I ever did. You held something more important than a mountain pass. You held on to your humanity, your kindness, your hope. When everything told you to be afraid, you chose to be brave. Yuna shook her head. I cannot take that. It is yours. You almost died for it. And you almost died for me, Kale said. 3 times. When you dragged me from the crash, when you lied to the hunters, when you stayed awake for 2 days to make the cure. He took her hand and placed the medal in her palm. The medal was warm from his chest. This belongs to you now. And when I return to my world, I will tell everyone what you did. The story of the human healer who saved a dying soldier, who showed us that this primitive species is not primitive at all. Tears rolled down Yuna's cheeks. She looked at the medal in her hand. The crescent moon and star gleamed in the morning light. I do not know what to say. You do not need to say anything, Kale said. Just promise me one thing. What? If another one falls from the sky, do it again. Help them. Save them. Show them what humans really are. Yuna closed her fingers around the medal. I promise. Kale smiled. It was the first real smile she had seen on his face. Then he did something she did not expect. He leaned down and touched his forehead to hers. On his world, it was the deepest sign of respect, a gesture reserved for family. Goodbye, Yuna, he said. I will not forget you. None of us will. He turned and walked toward the ship. The other soldiers followed. Taeho stood beside his sister, watching. The ship's engines hummed. The wings folded. It rose into the air, higher and higher, until it was just a silver point in the blue sky. Then it disappeared among the clouds. Yuna stood there for a long time. The wind blew through her hair. The metal was warm in her hand. What are you going to do with it? Taeho asked. Yuna looked at her brother. Then she looked up at the sky. I am going to remember, she said. And I am going to wait. Because I think this is just the beginning. She was right. 10 years later, the Valorian Republic signed a peace treaty with Earth. The data core that Taeho had recovered exposed the Dominion's plans. The truth spread across the world. Humanity joined the fight against the Empire. The first cultural exchange between Valoria and Earth included a monument. A hologram, 50 feet tall, displayed in the center of Seoul. It showed a human woman kneeling beside a wounded alien, her hands pressed against his chest, her face full of determination. Beneath the statue, carved in both Valorian script and Korean, were these words. She did not ask what world he came from. She only saw that he was dying. The crest of valor was placed in a museum nearby. It was the first alien military honor ever given to a human. Millions of people came to see it every year. But Yuna never visited the museum. She never gave interviews or accepted awards. She stayed in her village, in her small clinic, healing animals, living her simple life. Sometimes on clear autumn nights, she would go outside and look up at the stars. She would wonder which one was Valoria. She would wonder if Kale was looking back. And sometimes she would hold the memory of a silver medal in her heart. A crescent moon wrapped around a star, a reminder that courage does not always carry weapons, that heroism does not always wear armor. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply refuse to let someone die alone. The end.